Welcome to a playthrough of Ardennes 44 for the remembrance of the anniversary of the 80th year since the Battle of Bulge was fought back in December of 1944. Playing Ardennes 44, GMT game, Mark Simovich, designer. A little bit older game, but still very useful in terms of showing or illustrating the bulge and some of its actions here. We're going to be playing just the short scenario of the initial German attack. It's basically the first 3 days of the attack and showing you if the Germans could have break through or can the Americans stop and hold them off. It's quite an interesting little scenario here. I've played this before, as well as the full campaign there as well. The full campaign takes quite a bit of time if you are, really going to get the most out of it. It really takes a good bit of time to get through it, even with 2-player. I found that this takes a number of days to actually get through it. Just given the little idiosyncrasies and things like that with the game, it's fairly straightforward if you've played any of the 19XX series of his games, but he tends to put in a lot of little nuances that you do need to remember, do need to think about when you're planning, particularly your maneuvering and combat for the turns themselves. So hence I've just wanted to do this just to put something up here for the remembrance, for the idea of the bulge and remembering those who served to hold the bulge against the final German counterattack and protect Europe and finish off the Nazi Reich from there. So, where am I at with this? Like I said, it's just the first 6 turns, and I've played through a few turns already. Now let's bring up the turn track here. Here's the turn track. I've played through December 16th, the night, the 17th, and the night, and the 18th a.m. We're on to the p.m. turn here. And the reason why I brought it forward to this is one, for brevity's sake, not to bore you with all details, but you will see some details as I play through the PM turn of the 18th. And this has really come to a critical head here with the battle itself. The victory conditions for this is that the Germans have to control either 10 victory hexes. That's these guys here highlighted in red that I just turned on, or exit units off of the east board, which is defined here. And if they exit number of strength points out there, they get a victory point for them on there as well. So that's basically it. The Americans just need to stop them and prevent them from getting the towns and or the victory hexes and getting off the board over there. So that's pretty straightforward. So initially it was just basically the German attacks to try to break the Americans' lines, which was pretty standard stuff, nothing real interesting there. The Germans, I will say this, on the 16th, the Germans had quite a few setbacks, particularly over here with the 7th Army over here, or excuse me, no, 5th Army over here, 5th or 6th. Let's see, 6th Army, sorry, over here, and did not achieve the breakthrough that they wanted to, and had to commit Piper's units, those are the ones in black, much earlier than wanted to break the lines over here, and that kind of slowed this sector down over here, and we'll look at that in a little bit more detail in a few minutes. Over here with the 7th and 5th Armies, they were able to initially break through the lines, particularly with the 7th over here, but generally kind of stalled out once U.S. reinforcements came in. mainly because with the center here, with the Fifth Army, they had to, punch through, and they were held up here as well on the 16th and a little bit on the 17th before they could actually break through, and they had to divert the paratroop units over here to actually circle around and get around the Americans over here and try to push on for Bastogne and Hoffenstelle over here as well. So that left 7th Army over here a little bit more on the defensive with just more scant units here that protecting what they captured from any type of American counterattack over here. So as I said, in the center, that's where we achieved the biggest breakthrough with the German attack. Basically being able to get through and encircle Wörlitz over here. They were able to take Chalais over here and establish a breakthrough up through here. But Saint-Vith is still in American hands. This has been a tremendous source of disruption for the German attack over here. This one unit right here, 28th, the 1st, 112th, 28th, has been able to continue to hold off. Finally, the Germans have got around here with some grenadiers and some assault guns and attack, but again, they were engaged over here, and they will try to subsequently follow up and break through over here. So this has stalled a lot of the armor over here, because there's a good chunk of armor right here that was trying to cross this bridge, and consequently we've only had infantry to move up across over here. Americans have fed units in around Saint-Vith, seeing as they've held off 6th Army's attack over here quite well, and have been able to hold this line, roughly this line right across here. You do see some German incursions kind of keep pushing on there, but generally they hold this line, and reinforcements are pouring in from the north to hold this line over here. So that's where we are at the beginning of the PM turn for the 18th, and that's what we're going to play through here, because that's really, we've reached kind of a critical goal. Now, I told you about the victory conditions. Now, where do we stand with that? Well, Germans hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 victory conditions right here. They still need 5 more to actually win the game. Now, there is a path to victory for them. They can attack Wörlitz right here and get it 1 potentially. They can attack Bastogne to get 2 more. That's 3. Then Hoffenstelle over here is 4. But then what they're going to need to do is try to branch out and get around U.S. troops over here, given their breakthrough, to try to get over here to these 2 towns, Trois Ponts, and that one I can't see right there. This town right here. I'll zoom in on that later and read it. But these 2 towns are looking open as well, potentially to some German advancements over here as well. And that would give them 11 if they captured them all and win the game. Obviously, they're not going to get off the board. They're too far away, and there's too many blocks here to get them over this line to get victory points there. So it's going to be a concentration on the victory hexes themselves that you see highlighted over here. So that's the strategy here. I think in terms of the details of this, we have a couple of groups that I think can achieve the goals. Obviously, you see here, and let's start zooming in here so you can see. Particularly with some of these towns, for instance, we've got, well, it's surrounded and it's just held by some engineers and some remnants of the 28th. And this is actually surrounded by multiple units of the Lear and the paratroopers over here that they will try to reduce and eliminate that town. We've got the other paratroopers moving up into, or I should say, towards Bastogne. They can attack on the southern side. We've got other elements of the Lear moving up. They can attack Bastogne from the northern side. Other elements of the Lear over here, which can move up towards Huffel's. Tough one to pronounce, but I get it there once in a while. Over here, then we've got units of the 2nd Panzer over here that potentially can bypass the 9th Armored here and get around to capture Vilsam and Trois Ponts over here, potentially circling on some of these secondary roads and getting across over there. I'll show you how that's going to be done here in a little bit. Then in the middle, I don't think we're going to get Saint-Vith. We still have an American unit there that needs to be reduced. This unit, as I said, needs to be reduced as well. And we've got blocking units over here as well too. So we'll see. There'll be a little bit more battling over here, but we'll see how that goes. To the north, as we said, we've captured this. There's an opportunity to potentially capture this town right here if they can dislodge this unit, the 101st Cavalry, out of the woods next door to it, and then they could potentially move in and capture that town. We'll give that a try. And then basically the rest of Piper's units will just keep pushing forward to try to disrupt and break up or prevent American units from shifting here as much as possible, to hopefully prevent them from reinforcing or attacking the objectives that are just outlined over there. Okay, so that's kind of the plan. Let's take a look at the action here. So I'll get started with the log file. So first off, I was just checking some artilleries, because first phase here is going to be the artillery recovery phase. So I'm pulling back some of the some of the trucks for the potentially strategic movement here on some of the artillery that's moved up here as well. And then we're going to start moving. So we're up to the movement phase. That was the artillery. So basically the artillery that I recovered, just to give you an understanding, is this artillery over here to reinforce this attack. We also did this artillery over here to help reinforce any attacks over here, particularly this one. And then the third one, I believe, was I think the third one was back over back over here. That was the third one right there, to reinforce some of the attacks over in there. So that was the artillery phase. Moving along to the bridge phase, there wasn't any, so we go straight to the movement, and we're going to start up here with the paratroopers, the Fallschirmjägers, and they are heading up towards Bastogne, and you'll see those groups form up over here, and you've got some of the 2nd Panzer moving up on the other side to attack the northern side, and then we've got some of the Lear moving up, and then I'm setting up my attacks over here with the arrows. We'll go through the attacks here in a moment once we get to the combat phase. So there's the setup of the attacks. So those units are going to attack there, they're going to attack there. Now we're going to do some strategic movement. Now this allows us to double our movement points, but comes at a penalty because we can't move next to enemy units, we can't attack, and defense is halved. But as we move across here, you'll see this guy who is the 2nd Panzer Grenadiers. They'll be able to move 12 movement points. So they'll be able to move up that side road, cross through that traffic, and then eventually get into Trois Ponts right there and capture that. So that was good. And they also, because they went through that town of Vilsem, they were able to capture that as well. But we've got to move up reinforcements to keep them in supply. We'll do that here in a moment. I'm just setting up some more markers and doing some of these other known attacks here. Okay, here's our next strategic movement right here. We're going to be moving up some of these units, 2nd Panzer and Lear. So I'm trying to just sort these out here. There we go. So here we have a Lear unit moving up to reinforce or hold that particular town. And then we've got another one. They're just moving up here to pin the 9th Armored, meaning it'll cost them to move out and also limit their movement capabilities to just 1 hex. So these guys have moved up over here. Next, we're moving up some more Lear units here towards Hoffelstadt, and then we should be getting these units moving here shortly. There we go. And they'll move up, and they'll move up across over there. They can move over here. That's light wood, so that's going to be 3 points, 3 points, and 1 point, so that's 7. So they'll be able to form up an attack group over there against those disrupted infantry. And again, we'll go into the details of these attacks here shortly. This is just the movement phase. And then I've got some more strategic movement coming along here with another assault gun, I believe. Yeah, 2nd Panzer assault gun. They're going to move up, and just to prevent this unit from retreating, they're going to move over here. Now, they can't move next to the units themselves, but they're going to move up behind them to provide a blocking, and at least that gets zones of control out there so they can't actually push or have a hard time retreating, and if they do retreat, they're going to be eliminated. Okay, just to finish them off. And then last strategic movement over here. Let's see, this guy goes to there. Oh yeah, he just goes to there. Just kind of keeping the supply route open. Just concerned that American units can kind of dash over here and kind of cut off supply and put these guys out of supply, and that would cause problems there as well. Okay. So we've got a little bit more movement, and now we've got some of the attacking towards the northeast to set up. So we'll just get through these here real quick. And there's the setup over here, bringing up the 150th. That was the unit with the captured American tanks. And then we've got some of Piper's units getting into the action to try to take some of the, keep pressure on the Americans. And then we've got some of the reinforcements moving up. There we go. Just getting them on the board. Not going to really do anything, but more for completeness of the battle. A few more attacks to set up. And more reinforcements continue to move up. And we kind of shift some around to protect the different hexes here. Okay, so our first hex is going to be this one, 2712. Okay, right here, Willits. Now, this is going to be, and I've put into some of the comments here, here are the odds. It's going to be 20 because it's all the units attacking. It's going to be 20 to 7, 2 to 1 odds, but they do have tank support, which brings them up to a 3 to 1 odds. And they roll a 3, which on our card at 3-1 is going to be it's going to be a firefight. So now the Germans are going to push that firefight, and the Lear unit over here, the tanks, are going to be the lead unit with a DM of -2, -1 for being armored and no armored support in there, and then another one for being elite. So that gets them a -2 on their roll, and they roll a 5 on the firefight table, which drops them to a 3, which is A1D1, which is going to eliminate one unit and reduce one of the German units, or actually the Lear unit. And then we're going to get rid of one unit. And, oops, where'd we go to? I think that went up into the box. And then the engineer unit is eliminated for retreating as part of the special rule. So they actually capture Relitz. And we'll move in there. So they'll get another victory hex. So that makes 6 now. Oops, going a little too fast there. Okay. Moving on to hex 3118, which I think is, yeah, that's over here. That's this guy right there. And he's going to have 17 to 8 odds, which is 2-1. It's got tank support and they're disrupted, so that's going to be 2 shifts down, so it's going to be a 4-1 roll on there, and they roll a 2, which is a DR3 plus a bonus advance. DR3 means they've got to retreat 3 hexes, and the Germans will get the bonus advance to advance 1 more hex. Now, these units are essentially surrounded, and there's no way they can actually get out legally on here, so they're all going to be eliminated on here. So move that off, and now we're going to actually eliminate all of these guys. Okay. Yeah, they're just accumulating over here in our eliminated box. That's why we keep jumping over there. The units are being placed in there, and I think that's all of them. It is, yes. So now we get a bonus advance, so they can advance 2 hexes. So that whole stack's going to move up there. He's going to go back down the road, and he's going to go up there. So we've just captured 2 more, so that's 7 victory hexes for the Germans on here. They're getting closer. If they break Bastogne, that's going to be even closer. So let's continue on here. All right, next one is going to be 3414, which is this guy, the disrupted hex. It's going to be these 2, these Lear units here, and the 2nd Panzer here are going to attack. It's going to be 10 to 5, 2-1 with tank support and disrupted, so 4-1 again. And they roll a 3 on a 4-1. It's going to be a DR2. All right, so that's going to force them out, but they're going to make a desperate defense, or try to make a desperate defense, with a -3 DRM. They roll a 5 is a 2, which makes it a delay and remove 1 step. So they kind of stopped them, but they still take the town because they're going to be eliminated because they're just a 1-step unit, unfortunately. Which means that the Germans can do a limited advance, and they advance the Lear in there and take one of Bastogne. Okay, moving along here, we move into 13, which is this guy right here, 3413, which is the other hex of Bastogne. We've got the tank units going up against, or the, Fallschirmjägers going up against the engineers in this hex. So it's going to be 11 to 5, 2-1 with tank support. It's going to be a 3-to-1 attack. And they roll a 1. That's pretty devastating. 3-to-1, that's a DR3. Again, they're going to be eliminated because any type of retreat, the engineers are eliminated. So they've captured Bastogne. And we're going to move, and they did get a bonus advance, I should have mentioned. So they're actually going to move in to take the town, and then the Stugs and the other Volksnäger unit is going to move up to block the Americans coming across the road from Martinlage to Bastogne, and prevent them, or make it harder for them to move around to counterattack. Okay, so the German attack is moving along fairly well. It's proving to be quite effective. They've taken 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes. They're up to 9 victory hexes. They just need one more, which they've already captured, I should say, because they've captured this one and this one, which makes 11 victory hexes. So at the moment, they have actually succeeded in getting enough victory hexes for what they need to win the battle. But we will still have the Americans' turn once we conclude the combat. So we've got a couple more combats here. This one down here, trying to break through and open up the road to St. Vith for these other units. We've got these two combats here. We'll go through these kind of quickly. It's going to be a 4-to-1. 4-to-1 rolls a 2, which actually is going to be a DR3. And that's going to force them back and move them back over here. They get a bonus advance, which they will move up like that. Okay. Checking some artillery over here, but now we've got 20, this one over here, I believe. Yeah, 2022, which is that stubborn one over here, which is going to be a 16-to-4, 4-to-1. Attacker has advantage, 5-to-1. Tank support, 6-to-1. They roll a 5 on a 6-to-1, which is not great. It's a DR2, but that should be enough to do them in. They're going to do a desperate defense, -2, and it's an exchange, so that was fairly good because we're going to have to flip one of the German units over. But they finally capture that location on there. Okay, we've got a number of other ones here. Like I said, I'll go through these fairly quickly. 1825, which I think is this guy. Yeah, I think I meant 1825. This guy right here. Yes. Right here we go. So that's a 11-to-7, 1-to-1 plus tank support. There's a tank right there. They're going to get defensive artillery, -1, so it rolls a 6 on a 1-to-1 is an AR A1. So the attacker loses 1 and just remains in place. And we'll flip them over. And then we've got this next attack against the 14th Cavalry on the way to St. Vith. Now this is going to be tricky because this is where we get the imposter tanks coming in, leading the attack. They haven't been spotted yet, so we'll be able to see what it is. Now the base odds is going to be a 3-to-1 plus tank support 4-to-1. Now we're going to roll for the 150th detection roll. Roll a 2, they're not detected, so it's going to be one more shift to make a 5-to-1. But there's going to be defensive artillery from the Americans, which succeeds to get a 4-to-1. So it's going to be 4-to-1. They roll a 4, which is going to be a firefight. And lead unit's going to be the 150th with -1. They roll a 1, which does a D1. And they're going to do determined defense. And they roll a D1. Yeah, they're eliminated. Okay, so despite the determined defense, they're eliminated, but they do delay, which is the key thing there to prevent them from getting any farther than they do. Of course, they really couldn't move much more forward than what they've done. Okay, so now we're continuing to move on to the northern side of the board, and we've got a few more attacks over here. We've got 2003, which is 2030, which is this guy right here in the woods, attacked by the some of the 1st SS as well as the 12th SS and 12th over here. So their attack is going to be 12 to 3, 4 to 1, and the unit is eliminated and moved off the board. So now they can move in. So now we go to 2132, which is this guy right here. This is going to be Piper's main force right here, which he's got quite the killer stack to go against the tank units here. So they're going to get a 2 to 1 odds. Tank support's 3 to 1 odds. They try to do defensive artillery, which they get, so it's a 2 to 1. And they roll a 1, which is a DR2, and they will do a determined defense, or try to. They roll a 3, but that doesn't do it, because on the determined defense with the 3 it's going to be just a delay, or it's just going to be a no, sorry. Or no, excuse me, it's going to be a delay. Yeah, they were delayed. So that will force them to retreat, and then they will move up to there. All right, next thing is 1933, which is this guy. Some more of the 12th SS attacking American infantry units here. It's a 3 to 1. They roll a 2. They're going to do a DR2. They're going to retreat. There's no worthwhile staying there, so they're going to retreat there, and then they'll move up like that. So they're kind of breaking through the line a little bit more on the Americans. Now the big one over here to try to get this town over here is going to be 8 to 1, 2 to 1 over here. It's 8 to 4, 2 to 1. Plus they're throwing in 2 artilleries to make it a 4 to 1. But then the other artillery up here, this guy, for the Americans, is going to try defensive artillery. Ooh, they roll a 1. So that knocks out the attack completely and reduces 1 unit. So that knocks them out, and they're done. Okay, and that's all of our attacks from the German perspective. But the Germans have done what they needed to do. They've captured the hexes. Let me zoom us back out here a minute. And they've captured all the hexes that they needed to get 11 victory hexes, and are able to potentially win the game if they can hold out. Now the Americans do have their last half of their turn to see. Now the last part of this is just adding some traffic markers, and we just added a few of them up here. And now we're coming into the American side. Alright, so the American side, Americans' turn here. They're going to be able to flip their artillery counters. So that's what this is doing now. It's just flipping all the artillery counters. I think I got most of them. I think I missed one of them, and then I had to go back and do it. So now we move into the movement phase. So now the Americans, just talk about their strategy here. Let's zoom in just a bit, so we can talk the American strategy on here. So Americans are losing right now. 11 victory hexes are now in German control. So they've got to take some back. The 2 most vulnerable are these 2 right up here, both in Trois Ponts and Vilsam. And those are the 2 we'll try to attack with and move up some of our reinforcements to potentially knock them out over here. We may be able to attack on Bastogne a little bit. We'll see how that goes as part of the movement, but the main focus is going to be right in here and just trying to clean up some other stuff here. So let's see how the movement goes. So first off, we're moving up the 7th Armored Combat Command, or retreating them back over here to attack them up there. They will be able to get up there. And then we're adding in a couple more armored units, the tank destroyers here and tank units here that will support them. Okay, and that gets us an attack on there, so we may be able to push them out. Next, we're going to get some of our reinforcements coming on. And then down here, actually let me back that up here a second. We've taken off our truck markers because we have 2 infantry units that are in position to attack this hex here. So they're going to move up and position to attack there. Like so. Okay, there's our 2 main attacks right there. So now let's get the rest of the movement done. Some more reinforcements coming in. Just moving down the roads. Nothing real strategic about that. Some artillery. And I'm playing this like I would play this out, you know, if I was playing the whole campaign, by positioning troops in blocking positions and such on here. Even though I'm just doing these 6 turns for the anniversary, you know, I'm playing it like I would if I was playing the campaign. So now I'm moving units back into better blocking positions for the Americans. Now these units down here, it's quite interesting. These couple of units here in the woods are about to be cut off from supply. So we're going to try to counterattack before they get out of supply and get that taken care of. And then the Americans here are going to try to disengage with this unit and get around here. And I figured out they could. They can do a half, they can do 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. And they should be able to attack Bastogne. Although they're all by themselves, but better than nothing. And then this unit's going to come up to provide more of a block. And then we've got some other units coming on here. Going to try to get this guy back because he was out of supply and he's about to surrender. We're going to try to get him back. And this guy's going to attack here. And okay, so now we move to the rally phase, and now we're getting rid of disrupted markers. That's all of our movements. We've got all our attacks set, just to show you that here in a minute. Big ones are up here. A couple minor ones, or lesser ones down here, just to kind of alleviate some issues that came up from the initial attacks. Okay, so we're getting rid of our disrupted, broken markers over here, mainly focused over in this general area. Those go away. Okay, whoops, let's back that up a minute. Okay, so now we come to the combat, and this is going to be key. So let's zoom this in and get to our combats. Okay, first one's going to be up here with our attack by the 30th, 119th and 120th of the 30th Division against Vilsam, against that Leer-Stug group that is sitting there defensively. So we've got, oops, I didn't, where are we here? Yeah, okay. This is actually going to be a 3-1 attack on here. They roll a 6. Oh, that's not good. A 6 on a 3-1. Let's just bring this back up so you can see. Is actually an engage. Oh boy. So the attack doesn't do anything to knock them out. It basically just gets stuck there and they get engaged. So that's not going to be a help. So the other 2 attacks have to succeed. The one against Bastogne and the one against Trois Ponts, if the Americans are going to win the battle. So let's see. The next one is going to be this one over here, Trois Ponts, and that's going to be a 9-5, 1-1 attack with tank support, so it makes it up to 2-1. That's about all we can get out of that. And they roll a 6 as well. Oh boy, on a 2-1, that's a A1 engage, so that's another failed attack where the Americans are going to lose a armored step, and they're going to be just engaged. So essentially at that point, the Germans have held off and will control enough victory points for a victory. But let's just follow this through just for the sake of completeness with the other attacks and see how this is going to go. So now we're going down here. This is the counterattack with the units that are about to be isolated or out of supply. And it's a 3-1. They get a DR3, pushes them back a little bit. And these guys can branch out a little bit. Now they're still going to be out of supply, unfortunately, but at least they're trying to break out and get around and get back to their own lines from there. Okay, moving on to 34. Where is it here? 34-13. Oh, that's Baston up here. Yes, right there. Even though if we can capture this, it'll just bring down the victory point, but it will not change the ultimate victory here. It's a 1-1 attack with tank support, 2-1. See what happens. Oh, they roll a 5. Ugh. Engaged. All right, so that's not going to do anything. So that didn't do it. All right, 2006. That's this guy down here with this engaged unit. 4-1 attack with tank support. They roll a 5. Wow. Americans are not getting good rolls on there at all. But they do eliminate the unit, I believe. Yep. And they are able to capture it, but they take a step loss as well. And then last one, 1404. Yeah, it's this guy down here. It's going to be a 2-1, and then this guy right here is going to join in. The Volkswerfer is going to support or try to support. They do. It's 1-1. It's a firefight, and lead unit's going to be the tank. The Americans are going to try to push them out. Roll a 3. They get it. A1, D1. So that gets rid of them, and then the Americans can move into there. Okay, so and that brings us pretty much to the end of the game. It's just the traffic and supply and everything else from there. But that pretty much sums it up here. So the initial attack is a German success. Even though they had a tough start in the beginning, and even though the Piper's units and the 6th Army are pretty much blocked over here, 5th Army was able to get around and get to some of these key locations to now disrupt American reinforcements from coming in there and actually have them redeploy even further deeper into the pocket for them to defend. They also control Baston, which is going to be key. They can reinforce this now with units down here from Wörlitz. Over here to the south, this flank is looking kind of weak here, and probably once Patton's counterattack gets started, that will be an interesting battle if we continued forward here. So overall, it's interesting to see how they would have continued with this. I may play this out later on a little bit longer, but it, like I said, it does take time. But for now, this is the story that we have. The Americans have kind of blocked the north, lost in the center, and kind of blocked in the south. So kind of typical for what the battle achieved back 80 years ago. And remembering that for this anniversary, this remembrance anniversary of the battle itself. with everything. So, hope you enjoyed this, and hope you got something out of this. It wasn't really a big rules thing. I was more trying to develop a story, and remember the men who fought there. So, thanks for watching.